Here with my guest this week, Karim Mayfield. Karim, it's good to see you, bro. Do me a favor, just introduce yourself, let people know the accolades, accomplishments, all that.
Cool. Yep. Well, I mean, it's a lot, but nevertheless, that's Karim Hard Hitter Mayfield, and I mean the H just don't stand for hard hitter, it stands for hood hero, community activist, youth mentor, two-time champion. Actually, three-time champion. Won a couple of titles back in maybe it was like 2015 or so. Won a few titles. Was called out by Floyd Mayweather back in 2018. He ducked me though. Very smart man, as we know. Floyd is a smart man, so he called out me and Andre Berto. Eventually, called out. Eventually fought Berto, but now I actually just still working in the streets with the youth and young adults, and recently opened a dispensary about a year ago, and but before actually I opened the dispensary took a few years. I pivoted to promoting my own fights, so I did three fights of my own. After Floyd called me out, and then after I started promoting, I started to dig into the cannabis space, and finally opened up a dispensary called Authentic 415 in San Francisco.
Man, that's cool as shit, bro. We're gonna get into all of this, bro. Let's start with, can you tell me the Mayweather story? Why was he calling your name out, and then why ultimately did it not wind up happening? I mean, obviously, crafty guy, but
right. Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, one day I was in this gym. I happened to be down in town, and I was getting some work in with one of his fighters. I think, they call him, his name is Memphis or something, I don't know. And he happened to be in the gym, and I did my thing, shined out, and I wasn't signed at the moment. And I had asked Floyd to give me. I'm like, Floyd, what's good? After he seen me spar, I'm like, what's good? Sign me, put me on, man. And he was like, oh, don't even worry about it. It's good. And I'm just like, okay. I didn't want to sweat him. He's just like, oh, it's good. I'm just like, okay. So he ain't got my number. Why is he saying it's good? So a week later, I hear him online calling me out. So I mean, a few people was like, oh no, he capping or whatever, right? Like he ain't, he probably ain't gonna say that no more. He probably just said it in one interview, whatever. But he began to say it in several interviews. Man, I'm either gonna fight Andre Berto or Karim Mayfield. And I put my bid in. I did a little call out for him, respectfully. And eventually later on down the line, come to find out he was fighting Floyd. But my guy Ellie Setback, man, told me he spoke to Floyd Sr. And Floyd Sr. was telling him, man, that he told Floyd, man, definitely not to fight me and to fight Andre Berto. It was a way harder fight, and it was gonna be a way different type of game coming in, man. And nevertheless, man, like as I mentioned, I looked like he took the advice of his pops and fought Berto. But I mentioned that I was actually in camp with Floyd Sr. for 2 months, so he was able to see the type of sauce and the type of style and the ruggedness I brought to the table. So again, I believe he advised him to take an easier fight in Berto.
Listen, bro, he was looking for his little Swan Song, right? So he was like, I'm gonna have a fight with a guy that keeps it more arm's length like I do, as opposed to who's gonna be in his chest. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna be having to work for it a little more.
Like a la Madonna, how Madonna fought him. I was definitely coming with that, a little more athletic than Madonna, but definitely with that same style in the first fight.
Yeah, and that was obviously that was like the one style that kind of bothered him, right? Was like if a guy got real physical and went body to
Right.
body, that was like the only style really that ever bothered him.
That's the only style. Facts. Yep. That style. Exactly.
It was like him, Maidana, Castillo did it pretty well.
Castillo. Yep. Castillo did it, and a fight some time ago was with us. I forget his last name, but it was Sosa, something Sosa. But people don't know about that fight. But he gave Mayweather hell. But if you Google that fight when Floyd fought Sosa, you will see that Floyd, he had hell in that fight. People don't talk about that one, but it was, I'm a boxing historian, so I would, student of the game, I would always just search out certain fights that people didn't, know about, and I found them and seen that this dude was having problems with him.
Right. So I know that you started a little later in boxing, right?
Yeah, very late at like 20.
So there's a lot of guys that seem to do that pretty well. There's like you, Sergio Martinez started a little late. I remember I was once talking to Brandon Gonzalez, but like every time a guy starts late, they have that edge. You know what I'm saying? That's like the thing that allows them to fast track a little bit more. What do you think was that for you?
Well, mine's definitely my power, and I say me being unorthodox, and then also my rugged style. I call boxing a lot of the pugilists. They're like, it's like fencing. It's kind of like fencing to keep distance. They're like, it's like like a fencing battle. How people are fencing, they kind of just like just move in and sort of like that. And then I came in with from fencing. Imagine fencing, then someone that comes in with like a more of a, I don't want to say grappling, but just somewhere around those lines, somewhere in that space. Not as much as that, but way more physicality. And I know that gave me the edge, and a lot of people they weren't used to it. And now starting to see a lot more people do it. Yeah, so I feel like it was my power and me being unorthodox, and I would throw punches from different angles also. So that was sort of hard to get prepared for.
Yeah, and especially guys that are like more used to the amateur style and everything's very like standard. Everybody sets everything up real clean and whatever, or they're just going fast, 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 fast. It's tricky for somebody, that's like gonna really come at them physically. Is different.
It definitely is, for sure, and especially when you have, especially a lot of guys that may have been in the amateur circuit, they're used to, the refs breaking it, as soon as they get into or even getting close. So in the professionals, it's not as, they allow a lot of the physicality depending on the refs. I mean, unless you get like a guy like a Kenny Bayless or something that break as soon as y'all touch each other. But yeah, no, that's why you see Floyd has always chosen him. And it's funny though, because after the Maidana fight, I think that, it was Tony Weeks had ref that fight. And Floyd said, I ain't never picking him. It was because Tony Weeks he allowed you to work inside,
Right.
And Kenny Bayless would break. And
I always thought it was so funny that you're right. When Bayless would ref, it was like the minute you make contact, he'd break you. But when he was in a Floyd fight, Floyd could do all the fucking holding he wanted.
And elbows and everything else, bro.
Oh my God, dude. He'd be like fucking breaking guys so quick. And then in the Pacquiao fight, it's like a minute of every round is holding. And I was like, that's fine. That's how you got to do what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Pacquiao's tough. But I was just like, yo, any other guy is getting a point taken off.
Right. At least warn them to show people that at least warn the guy. But I'm certain that Kenny Bayless had got some type of incentives after that fight, for sure. After each fight with Floyd, guaranteed he got a new Rolex, new Benz, something. But you know what I mean, that we didn't hear about, for sure. There's no way he was just picking that man just because of his reffing style. Because of his reffing style, but not just like because of him just being this honorable ref or something like that.
Because there's plenty of them, you know what I'm saying? And there's plenty of guys that'll fucking break it too fast. You want to put Russell Moore in, and you can't get near each other without him breaking it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Facts.
I remember, actually, this is super random, but I remember the first time I saw you was against Mauricio Herrera. That was a banger, bro. That was a great fight.
Yeah, that was a good fight. He was a good opponent. Came with threw a lot of punches. I was defending the NABO title then. and it was a HBO, so that was a good look.
What was like I've only really gotten to interview one other guy, but what's like the HBO boxing experience like? Because for like the generation before, that was like prestige boxing. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, they had the whole setup, just from the whole lineup, your agenda coming into the, from flying in to them picking you up in limos. The whole layout was sweet. Them laying out the red carpet, and just getting prepared, just for the interviews. All that was like a good look and stuff that I had in the past looked to actually be in that position and be in that space. So that was definitely a good look for me, and me actually having a title at that time. And them, as I mentioned, them rolling out the red carpet was definitely a good look. And sitting amongst the legendary people, Jim Lampley, you had like Roy Jones, and just get preparing, actually sitting me down in the conference room, asking me what was my plan for the fight, or just saying what was my mindset for the fight. So all that was a cool ass experience.
Was Larry Merchant still there?
Larry Merchant wasn't there at that time. No, he had just retired.
Oh, word. So was Max there?
Max was there. Yeah, it was Max. Yeah, my bad. Yeah.
Yeah, he was that was such a different pace. Like when Larry Merchant was there, especially at the end, bro, he would get talking and it was so fucking slow. But it was
right.
like you knew he was gonna say some shit, so you fucking wait for it for a little bit. But it's
right.
just, can we get to this? And then Max is more like me, where he's like da 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 da.
Yeah, but exactly.
I don't feel like there's an equivalent to HBO in boxing right now.
No, it's not. I mean, people are trying to mimic it, but and they're trying to, I guess, get into the new space, as in, to appeal to the next generation. But I mean, I like the old school way, man.
I mean, it's cool to be able to, rewind it and stream it. It's cool to be able to watch it, if you missed it. But there's definitely something about the overall presentation to HBO. Right. I felt like gave the fight and the fighters a little bit more production, honestly.
Right. Yeah, and it seemed more prestigious. It seemed more, like it had more, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, but it had more depth to it or something. It was just like, HBO boxing. It was like, the mecca of
the gold standard.
Gold standard. There we go.
That's exactly what it was. I think Showtime tries to do that a little bit just because they've been around longer. So they still have some of those same sensibilities, but it's not like the commentators are what make it. The camera shots are, you know what I mean? Like all of that blended together to make it something special.
Yeah, and to be honest, I never really cared too much about the Showtime commentators. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they've been around the game for long, but it seems like they don't know uppercut from a buttercup sometime, man. I compare, and regardless of Max or any of them or Jim, not actually had been in fights before, but they just seem like they were more, aware of the sport and not just quoting someone or something that they read or picked up on later on down the line.
Right. They had more of like an insider kind of knowledge, whereas I feel a lot of commentators today, for the most part, they're very much like internet people, it seems.
No, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Facts.
Like it's not necessarily guys that been in gyms and shit.
No, yeah. And they kind of, and that's this thing. I feel like they give me the vibe that they've been in gyms. They've been around the sport. They've got some of the sweat on them. You know what I mean? Like, it's like compared to these guys online, compared to these other guys, So I definitely got that feeling, that vibe.
Or even some of the old, even just like, Larry Merchant being an older cat, like he saw fucking Ali live. You know what I'm saying? So that's an insight that other guys are not going to be able to give to the fight.
Right. Exactly. That's definitely a whole different type of game.
Yeah. There's more history.
Exactly.
Are you retired?
I hadn't fought in almost like 3 years, maybe 4 now. Dang, maybe like 4 years. So I guess you can say that, man. I mean, to be honest, like they had I hadn't mentioned this at all. I mentioned it first right on this show, but back in December, Adrian Broner, a promoter had reached out to me via Instagram and asked me, could I make 140? And I'm like, hell yeah. And he was just like, oh, would you be interested in fighting Broner? I'm like, hell yeah, but when? And it was like sometime in spring. I'm like, man, let's go. And I was I added to that message like, oh yeah. And by the way, the whole Bay Area will be down there. You know what I mean? To support. I actually threw that in there because, speaking of Floyd though, after he fought Broner, I happened to be at his house. I went to his house. I was a friend of mine. I went over there with a friend of mine the day after the Berto fight. And I had Floyd was just like, oh yeah, son, blah, blah, blah. I should have gave you that fight. And I'm like, hell yeah, you should have gave me that fight. And he was like, oh man, I couldn't because the powers to be thought that you wouldn't, had sold that many tickets. Berto was a more known name or whatever. I'm like, he ain't known about the Bay Area, man. It's like, the Bay is a whole different culture. It's not about, just like, because I understand that, other races of people have a whole, country behind them sometimes, the Philippines, the Latin American, Latinx, and other races, the Salvadorians. But a lot of times, African American, Black folks don't have like the people behind them like that. But in the Bay Area, man, it's a whole culture. It's like the Bay. We got Asians and Latins. That's yada. You know what I mean? No matter where you're from, man, it's better where you're at, man. So it's a movement. You know what I mean? I feel like we would have had Bay. I'm sure we would have had Filipinos, Samoans. You know what I mean? Blacks, white folks, the whole nine down there. To represent me. So he didn't know the movement that I had. So as I said, Vegas probably told him we need more money to be down here for this fight. So if I expected Broder to have more fan appeal, but not knowing that I had the Bay behind me. So that was the reason why. It sounds like another reason why he had taken that fight.
Right, because he's thinking that Berto's a more like nationally or internationally known name. But the reality is you got like a whole fucking neighborhood and region behind you that's going to show up, way hard.
Exactly. There you go.
I mean, because New York is the same shit, bro. Like if fucking Edgar Berlanga gets a big fight, I'm going. You know what I mean? Like that's what we support our people out here. It's the same shit,
Right.
Like, and boxing doesn't capitalize on that enough.
Right. They don't.
Talk to me about some of the after boxing shit. Talk to me about the cannabis company and how that started out and where that came from and all that.
Okay, so yeah, so they had in Oakland, California, they first rolled out a program called the Equity Program, which allowed people that grew up in an area that was affected on the war on drugs to sort of have a leg up in the cannabis space. And before any, as we know, 98% of this space is controlled and ran by older white men. So it gave us opportunity to, be in this space in a regulated cannabis industry, in a regulated cannabis space. So anyhow, I applied for it. I grew up in an area that was affected on the war on drugs, and I applied, man, and put my bid in, and I was able to get my permit. I actually had a ton of investors reaching out to me to see if I wanted to partner up with them, but I weeded them out and found someone that actually had the same sort of community, activism mindset as me, and that was Shrine Group. I seen that they had done a lot for the community in different other communities before they teamed up with me, and they had the same vision as helping the people. So it was a good look for me. They're in Los Angeles. They actually own like 22 stores now. And as I mentioned, they had the same vision as me as giving back. As I'm all about giving back, and so it was a no-brainer for me to team up with them, and we partnered up and. Took a few years to open up the club, but we've been open for about a year now, and things are doing pretty well.
That's incredible, bro. And I think like that's what you were talking about. There's so many times, right, where it's like the people that have been lobbying or whatever to keep cannabis illegal to keep locking people up, whatever. They're the first people that try to make money when there's,
Right.
when they smell any green at all. And the
Right.
fact that it's like people in communities that are affected that get first dibs on this, that shit is so important, because if it's just pay to play, you're gonna have the same fucking problems
All day, exactly same thing. Yep. And I mean, it's kind of crazy that how many people was sort of hating on the space, but as soon as it was illegal, now it's people that's been advocating for it, and it's like, I don't know, it's just sort of just weird to see people like police commissioners that was locking people up now being running security companies to protect it. Oxymoron.
well. And it's like, it's one thing to have a change of heart or whatever, that's cool, but it's just
Yeah.
like, if you're taking the position of keeping it illegal because you're making money off it, but then
Right.
want to make money off it when it is legal, that's just playing both sides. You know what I
No,
mean?
exactly. Like you said, change of heart, that's understood. But yeah, that's two different things though, for sure.
Yeah, you make money off of the war, but then you make money off of being fucking like security for a store. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
exactly what you said. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You're fucking playing both sides. I think there should be more athletes too that get involved in the cannabis business, because I think there's still like that stigma of like, oh, you can't be an athlete and partake. You know what I'm saying? That it's going to make you ineffective or whatever. And so I think a lot of guys get hesitant, to push that or to get involved.
Right. Yeah, I see that a lot. And I mean, although I'm starting to see a lot of people starting to venture into that space, but it still has that stigma. And I mean, during my career, I wouldn't smoke, but I would definitely, eat some edibles here and there. And, I would use the tinctures or bombs to help me recover from, the rigorous training I would go through daily, preparing for fights.
Yeah, and there's so many, not even just boxers, there's so many athletes that are using CBD or whatever cannabis products for, training related pain or discomfort. And I just don't see like how we could still be, making guys like get in trouble for that.
Exactly.
Particularly when they have like opiate alternatives, that are perfectly legal.
Right, which is horrible. And we know that that's an epidemic that's killing people, 150 people a day, so that's, which is, this kind of that still doesn't sit well with me. And, how it's regulated, the cannabis industry, and how many people die from, alcohol overdoses or just even wrecks, how many people die, how it's an epidemic on, you know, um, in the opioid space, and just knowing that with cannabis they're watching everything. They have a seed to sell type thing where they watch it from the seed to the sale. So it's like, why aren't they watching all these damn pills, like from pill to purchase, or from, I don't know, they need to call that something, but because it's rampant in the Bay Area, and it's we had a state of emergency in my city because of the opioid epidemic. And I mean, that should say something right there. They want to regulate something that's actually helping people. And I'm not going to say opioids aren't helping people, but it's, it helps them, but it's just more of a masking. It's not anything that's helping them actually to heal. It's just more of a masking thing to help them to, temporarily be okay, or temporarily fight some of the pains or the displeasure that they have at the moment. But it's not it's just an alternative, nothing to to live off of, for sure.
Yeah, and I think there's also, anytime you get something that's from a store that has a certain amount of regulation around it, is a different experience than if you're just like getting some shit from fucking wherever on the corner and you don't know
Right.
what it's been, who's been handling it, how they've been handling it, and
No.
it's like you never know what that experience is going to be.
Right, exactly. I mean, and same thing as even I mean, with even in the cannabis industry, I mean, I'm not gonna hate on my black marketers, what I mean, but I mean, shit, it's the same thing applies, I mean, a lot of people, I've been up north, up in Humboldt County for years, and I opened up a boxing gym up there several years back, and I was able to be out there with a lot of the my white homies that big growers and shit. But some of them cats was using some weird shit to miracle grow to actually to have their plants to grow. And thinking about people smoking that, man, ain't really a good look. So I mean, I can imagine some of the stuff that people are using and selling out there. But again, I'm what I am appreciative of is the regulated market of them, having to test everything, which is good because you don't have people just putting anything, as I mentioned, in this herb to have it to grow. This it's regulated, so that's good. But again, they're doing way too much. The taxation is crazy, in this space. And at this point, it's not what people may think is as cracked up to be as it is.
And what do you attribute that to? Like, why do you think that is? Why do you think there's so much extraction?
Because of taxation, each you got the feds, which is shady, that's taking tax, but they don't want to give us any type of tax breaks, any type of tax, any type of tax relief. Like we can't write anything off, but packaging, like we can't write anything off in this space, which is crazy. And also, but they still want their money, and then the state, they want their money, and then also the city, they want money on top of that. So taxation is roughly like 32%, which is nuts. You can't find that in any other industry.
Which is ironic because they weren't getting any money from the fucking black market for the most part. Right. But,
exactly. 75% of the market is still being operated out of the black market. So that's where most of the sales are coming from. It's actually, to the people are purchasing in the black market, but 75% of the sales go to the black market. And only obviously 25 is in the regulated space.
And I mean, look, bro, there's good growers everywhere. If your grower, they do a good job, whatever, that's awesome. But if we're able to, put it through these channels where there's like standards, you know what I'm saying? It just makes it safer for people, for everybody.
No, for sure.
Well, I think that's a real cool, that's a cool avenue to take after boxing. What else kind of takes up your time since you've retired, however you want to call it?
Right. Yeah. I'm working with this initiative. It's cohort that's called Project Genesis, Neighborhood Unites. And I've been going hood to hood and working with some young men from ages, people that's out of high school, ranging 18 to like 24. And from Tuesday to Friday, I'm hooking up with, I'm going to 5 different neighborhoods in Hunters Point, Trail Hill District. And people don't, probably hear about San Francisco and don't think that there's hoods there. It's like real ghettos, like real slums in the hood. And of course, you're not going to hear about them because they want to keep it to the tourists that everything is all smooth, but it goes down in the city. It gets gritty in the city. And so I've been going to each hood every day, Tuesday through Friday, and I'm working with like 10 group of young men and doing boxing training and fitness for them. And this cohort is it's pretty awesome. They get them, they're paying them to actually come to go train. So they're paying them to go train. They're paying them so they spend an hour with me, then they spend an hour doing financial literacy, and they're learning about stocks and trades and all type of things, and showing them how to just even operate in that space, So then they also having them to do like some more restorative, like a restorative circle is what they call it. And they kind of talking about all type of things that may not be addressed, or that things that young men in the inner city may need to talk about and get off their chest. So this has been going on for like the last few months. And I think it's also a program to, just get the youngsters off the street and, stop them from, just giving them some more opportunities, and also just giving them, first of all, putting some money in their pockets, and they're learning, they're getting paid to learn. So, I mean, that's awesome. Can't beat that. So they've been pretty consistent. And, as I'm appreciative to be, was able to be hired to be in this space and, go hood to hood and be known by a lot of them or a lot of their parents, know me or whatever. And so that's been real cool, man. So that, as I mentioned, I'm doing that a few times a week. My dispensary, I have it's about a club. The dispensary is actually not too far away from where I'm working at. And I have some great general managers and assistant managers that's running the spot. So I pretty much just go check in, and I'm necessary there but not needed. So that's a good look. I'm able to be flexible with my time, and and I have my children that I'm my own children that I'm working with, and that I'm working with that I obviously live with, but they're involved in their own sports, so I try to support them as much as I can and spend as much time as them as much as I can.
That's awesome, bro. And I know you spoke on it briefly, but just speak on it a little further, like the support in that area that everybody has for each other. Because I've noticed, even I'm from out here, and it's like most of my guests are guys from out by you, because everybody knows each other. Everybody's like, yo, talk to this guy. This guy's dope. Like talk about that community. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, as you mentioned, it's community. So, I mean, due to all the gun violence and, everything else that's happening and being affected on the war on drugs, that's still, you still see remnants of that effect. You still see, pieces of that, and I see the community trying to become more communal and help each other out and be more, because a lot of times, a lot of the people are connected some way, either by blood or by law, So I see us coming together more so, opposed to, everyone being on their own and trying to just help their own. I'm starting to see a lot of, different nonprofits and cohorts coming together to help not only the youngsters, but help out older adults, and help out parents. And that's definitely a good look. We have, as I mentioned, San Francisco is a very rich city. So it's with the mayor, London Breed, being from the same neighborhood I came up in, the Fillmore district. She from the Mo, she from the hood. If you've seen her, some of her interviews, she's very articulate, but you can tell, man, that sometimes the hood come up out of her, and you see where she's from. She's from that filthy. And nevertheless, though, she's been doing all she can to get money to these neighborhoods that's been affected on the war on drugs. And that's been a good look overall. And, anytime you have someone that's in a high position like that, that actually has been in that space, they're always able to do more than anyone else that has, because they've been there, they've witnessed it themselves, and they know what the people needs.
Yeah, bro. I mean, that's really cool. And honestly, like that was part of why I was excited to talk to you, man, was like pretty much anybody that I've talked to that's from out there is like, yo, Karim's a big part of how I came up, or was an inspiration to me or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's cool how guys out there are passing that down. I mean, Arent said that, fucking Lukey said that. Like anybody I've talked to that's from out there is like, yo, Karim's like that guy.
I appreciate that, man. And I mean, and as cool as that, and I've always been a type that, I'm for my people, I'm for my village, I'm for my folks, and and at the same time, and with me, of course, I'm gonna look out for my people, my Black folks, but my people is my people, meaning, if you my folks, white, Black, or brown, you my folks, Like I said, man, I'll be cooling with Cubans, hanging with Hebrews, mobbing with Mexicans, chilling with Chinese, man, partying with Pinoys. But, nevertheless, man, I'm if you my folks, you my peoples, your color don't make you, no different. It's all about your spirit and the love that you show to me and the love you show to the people. So regardless, like you said, Luke's a white dude, you know what I mean? But shit, we folks, you know what I mean? Like, that's my dog. I looked out for him like I look out for anybody else, regardless of race, creed, or color.
And that's how it should be, bro. And that's how, that's how it is in the coastal parts. You know what I'm saying? And where everybody's more blended together. It's not so much like that in the middle of the country.
Right. No, facts. Exactly.
Can we talk Spence versus Ugas?
Oh, yeah. I like that fight. It's going to be a good fight, man. I like that one.
Bro, I'm fucking.
What you think about?
I'm so torn up, man, because I'm like, if it's Errol that is the Errol in my head, I feel like potentially it's easy work, but also Ugas is so tricky. He's so difficult to hit. He just got the best win out of anybody at welterweight, pretty much. I mean,
Right.
I think it's 50-50 for real, but I'm not sure, bro. What do you think?
Yeah, so to be honest, early on though, I would have picked Spence to win before the accident. I would have picked Spence to win before the retina detachment,
Yep.
but due to that, and also me being in camp with Ugas, Ugas is a beast. I got Ugas ready for Sean Porter. I was the sole sparring partner for that fight,
That makes sense.
and I
That
got
makes sense.
yeah, so I got him ready. I was in Vegas for about a month and a half and got him prepared for that fight. And as you see, man, he pretty much pulled that fight off, man. But shouts out to me for getting him ready. But nevertheless, yeah, to be honest, you guys go to the body real good. I know Spence does too, but man, I see you guys pulling that one off, bro. Just due to his injuries and all that he's been through. He's not 100%. And I don't know if he can ever get back. Although he looked good with Garcia, I thought that was a big, quick fight to step up and take first. But he did his thing with Garcia, so he proved himself. But I just see Ugas pulling that one off.
I think he's a little more consistent than Danny. That's the thing, is I think
No,
Ugas, the
yeah, yeah,
jab, he's just a
right,
little more consistent with what he does. Whereas Danny's like, he kind of waits in the pocket for you to make a mistake and then he bursts, but it's not as consistent. Whereas Ugas, it's like he's keeping that
right.
pace.
Exactly. Yep. And he goes to the body. Awesome. He goes real good to the body. Yep.
How's
For
his
sure.
power? I know he doesn't have a lot of knockouts, but it always looks like he hits pretty hard. How's his power?
And he tries to hit hard too. That's the thing. It's not like he's tapping. So anytime you're putting that much effort and you're a professional fighter, a grown man, it's going to be pretty decent. You know what I mean? It's like it's some good power. It's not like devastating, but it's definitely still power. It's still good power. Yeah.
So you think that, I mean, it would be normal for it to have affected him, but you think the accident, the eye issue, you think all of those things have accumulated for Errol?
Yeah, I do, man. And as I mentioned, those are some big injuries, and I know he had dental work or whatever. And with his eye, his retina being, if I'm not mistaken, it was attached, right, or something along them. Yeah, that's a lot, bro. And it's like, man, yeah, it's just kind of scary, knowing that happened. And so, if something like that happened again, you could potentially be freaking blind in one eye, so that's pretty scary, man. And and I would think that I forget Yuga's trainer name, but they would be focused on aiming for that eye, just trying to get under that, which is, it's pretty cruel, but that's the nature of the sport.
And you're right, bro. That is a serious injury. I mean, you could see like Abner Mares had it in both of his eyes, and now you could see when he does the commentary on Showtime, he's got to wear sunglasses the whole time. You know,
Oh, damn. I didn't trip off that.
like I didn't, I don't know that for certain, but I know that he's always got shades on, and I know that he had a detached retina in both eyes. You know what I'm saying? So that could be, a long-term thing that he has to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I do know that Sugar Ray Leonard had it some years ago. He looked pretty fine, even though he looks fine, but who knows if he can see good out of that eye. Like we never know. We don't know if he has pain in it or anything, to be honest.
And if he had taken one more fight or one more shot or whatever, you're always like, with an injury like that, it seems like you're walking a tightrope kind of.
No, exactly. Definitely a top rope for sure.
Have you ever gotten to spar with Errol?
I did, I was actually I had, I was going to get before some time before he fought this is before he fought Porter. Almost maybe a year before that, he was going to potentially fight Porter, and I seen him in the and I seen him in Vegas somewhere, and he was asking me if I can get some work, if he can get some work, and I was willing to do it, but for whatever reason, they didn't. But they had actually called me out to not didn't call me out, but his trainer had asked, not his trainer, it was one of his managers. They were trying to get me in a fight to fight him, and I said yes, but then they said no. So they yeah, they didn't want to take the fight for whatever reason. And I had mentioned it in an interview, and he said like, "Oh man, you're trying to say I was scared." I'm like, "No, I didn't say you were scared, but your managers just, they didn't want to fight." So you know what I mean. I'm not fighters don't be scared, so I don't say they mad, but their managers make so the decision ultimately, and they didn't want to take the fight, but they offered me to fight him, and yeah, I obliged, and yeah, they just decided not to. But I was ducked a few by, not only by Mayweather, a few people ducked me. Sean ducked me. They flew me out. Sean Porter ducked me. They flew me to. They asked me that I want to fight Porter. A day before the fight, they asked me did I want to fight Porter, and I don't know if you remember that, but he had fought. I forget the kid he fought. It was a last minute notice, and they asked me. They offered like 150,000. I was in decent shape. I said, "Let's go." So they flew me to Vegas. They flew me to Los Angeles, Oxnard, I think. And I went out there and sat in the conference room. And they told me that Kenny Porter or his handlers, whatever, didn't want to take me. So they decided to go with another opponent. I mean, they cashed me out almost 20 grand for flying out there, which was cool. I mean, I didn't get the fight, but I mean, shit, I was trying to take that fight. I was already in decent shape. And yeah, I was prepared to fight him, but nevertheless, they flew me out there and didn't give me the fight.
Damn, bro. I mean, that's a lot of that's multiple times where you're like right there on a pretty massive fight, and then for whatever reason, it just didn't happen.
Right, exactly.
Who were some of the guys that you felt like when you fought them, they would be like, this guy's really pushing me?
I'd say probably I'd probably say like a maybe a Delorme. And that was due to me. Actually, I wasn't fully prepared for that fight, to be honest. I was like, I only had a 4-week camp for that, and just overall, I don't even want to talk about just that what was going on the back end of that fight, but that's a fight I kind of wish I would have, maybe counseled out on, because of at the time all the stuff that I had going against me. My manager was arrested, same day as the weigh-ins. Feds came to get him, pick him up. In Jersey, while I was down there, we fought in Atlantic City, actually. And yeah, and I didn't have my main coach, Virgil, to help me prepare for that whole camp. He was in England doing some stuff with Amir Khan, and that's when I was with Virgil Hunter. So I didn't get to train with Virgil, and I had I had my second as a corner. I had my corner man training me for that fight. So I mean, he was a good corner man, good I said good second, but I needed that first guy in that position. And to be honest, I didn't see Virgil until the weigh-ins. So I mean, there you have it. And I lost. I lost. It was a close decision. I lost a close decision. I was never beat up, battered, or bruised in any of fights. But yeah, I just didn't have enough, or didn't have the strategy that I should have had that I needed to actually defeat him. But to be honest, probably Delorme. And again, I didn't have my full condition. I didn't have my full strategy. So that would be contributed to that. But other than that, every other fight was like, it was like neck to neck. It was very close, very competitive.
Yeah, and Delorme is a fucking awkward guy, super athletic, been around. I mean, he's still somewhat a relevant welterweight. Did you feel better at 140 or 147?
I felt better at I felt good at 140. Yeah, I felt good at 140.
Is that where you fought Delorme?
I fought Delorme at 47.
Okay, yeah, and he's tall, right? He's like almost 6 feet tall.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, heck yeah. I'm only like 5'7", 5'8" with Tim's.
That's also too like Sean Porter's a little shorter too. They were like, they didn't want to be looking in a mirror when they fought.
No, right? No, for real. Exactly.
And you had also said before, like, fighters aren't scared, right?
Right.
Do you think that fighters duck other fighters, or do you think that everything is sort of like business decisions from people, backing them or behind them?
Yeah, I think for sure business decisions. I mean, at the same time, I know some styles are conducive to other styles. Like definitely if you got someone that's rugged, someone that's like a pretty boy type boxer, a pretty style. They're not going to want to be in there with someone as rugged as me. So I do understand certain styles are conducive to certain styles, but for sure it's a business, and I can understand why some people don't fight each other. Why? Because some people don't have names, to actually be on that level to even fight them. Like they may have the accolades, but not necessarily a fan pleasing style. That may not, or fan pleasing, or that just, or a fan base, should I say? That's going to bring those numbers or bring those that pay per view or those people in the crowd in the audience to actually sell tickets.
So you think you're of the belief that the fighters want the fights. It's other shit that gets in the way.
I do, exactly. Yes, exactly.
Word. I mean, I tend to agree with that. I mean, it definitely feels like anytime you talk to a fighter, they're just like, I'll fight Joshua. Like they don't give a fuck. Like I'll fight Usyk. They don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like that's part of how you get to where you're at.
No, exactly. Exactly.
Like you can't give a fuck about shit like that. Well, Karim, bro, this has been fucking cool as shit. I really appreciate you taking some time to talk to me. Is there anything you want to shout out? Anybody you want to shout out?
Yeah, not in particular. Just, you can follow me on Instagram, Karim Hitta Mayfield. And I got a bunch of things going on, a bunch of things popping. And, man, as I mentioned, I didn't say I was retired, man. So I may just make a comeback, man. Earlier I mentioned that Adrian Broner, promoter called me out, but eventually never followed back up. But that was a fight I was willing to take. And, so, hey, man, you might just stay on the lookout. Y'all may still see me somewhere, man. So you may just stay on the lookout for Kareem Hard-Hitter Mayfield, man. I'll be around. And if it ain't me, man, I got some up and coming hitters that should be on the scene real soon, man. Y'all gonna hear about them. That's vicious. Shouts out to Dre Bando.
Hey, listen, bro. I mean, fucking, you look like I like your odds in that fight, bro, because it looks like you're a guy that stays in the gym. Aaron was telling me, he was like, this motherfucker's always ready. Adrian never looks ready until fight week.
Right. No, facts. Exactly. So, man, that's just on the strength of that. I stay in shape just on the strength of, man, stay active, stay attractive, man. You know what I mean? So, man, you don't want to get old, man. So, nevertheless, yeah, I stay in shape. I stay in decent shape, just enough to, be able to capitalize on opportunities as long as they give me a decent amount of fight time to get prepared, but in closing though, I had, who I actually do, who I like, who I've been keeping my eye on. People have been ducking. I see that I like the boy Ennis, Teron Ennis. Yeah, Teron Ennis is a big, yeah, man. So he that's a good look, man. They actually offered me a fight with him. It's funny though, they offered me a fight with him for 150. And they decided not to take that fight either. And I was surprised. I'm like, dude's a beast. And, I'm like, this is going to be a hell of a fight. But they ducked me too, man. Again, I'm not saying he was scared, but the managers, the handlers, man,
they didn't like the risk reward on that.
Right, exactly. That's what it was, yeah.
Well, I mean, dude, I think Boots is, it's tough to say because the only guy really that he's fought is Delorme. But to me, it's like, I feel like anybody through middleweight, he's probably going to beat, you know what I mean? Because he's so tall and he's wide and shit.
And he's still only fighting at 47 though, right?
Yeah, bro, but he looks like fucking
moved up yet.
He looks like fucking Jeff Lacey or something. Like he's a
big
guy.
He is for sure.
Well, We'll see, bro. I hope you get that. I hope maybe one day we get to see you in the ring again. And if you fight fucking Broner, come chop it up with me again before.
For surely.
Yeah, bro. We'll do this again soon. All right. It was great to meet you.
All right, one love.
All right, brother. Peace.